All right, welcome to the show. It is Ringside Report. I'm Dave. Freddie is here. AJ is here.
Woo!
We are on TSN 690 on Friday nights talking mixed martial arts. We are on YouTube at youtube.com/ringsidereport.net, youtube.com/ringsidereport.net. Go check out the channel. Like the video, leave a comment, subscribe, click the bell, get the alerts whenever we're on. We are always on YouTube, it seems. It feels like I just left you guys. We had a big party on Saturday night for UFC 239. You can check that out on our website at ringsidereport.net.
Still recovering.
You can watch it on YouTube. As many of you checked in throughout the night, it was good. It was a good time. We had a good time, and the fights delivered for UFC 239 on Saturday night, and we're going to talk about those fights here on the program. We're going to talk about Georges Masvidal. Will he get the next title shot? Is he next? Does he get Kamaru Usman after that 5-second knockout of Ben Askren on Saturday night? And how big of a star is Georges Masvidal? He's talking about fighting Conor McGregor. He's talking about title shots. We will discuss Masvidal's place in the whole thing very, very soon. We'll also get to UFC Sacramento. UFC is going to be in Sacto coming up on Saturday night. It will be Germaine de Randamie taking on Aspen Ladd in the main event, a women's bantamweight fight. Maybe the winner of this could face Amanda Nunes, who picked up a nice win at UFC 239. Uriah Faber taking on my boy, Ricky Simon. Yeah.
The Simon.
He looks like a Simon. I like him. Josh Emmett, Mirsad Bektic, and some other fights on this card that we'll probably get to. Although I don't know if we'll get to the whole card because it's not the best card, AJ.
It's not a bad card. I mean, for coming off of a big UFC 239 card, it's not that bad. Come on.
Okay, AJ, I'm going to call you out then.
Aspen Ladd.
Other than those 3 fights that Dave just mentioned, name me one fighter that's fighting. One fighter.
Well, I said Aspen Ladd. That's what I wanted to see. I think
Who else?
I want to see Uriah fight.
Andre Feely. I mean, there's
I wanted to see.
You're helping him. You're helping him.
I wanted to see.
Actually,
I wanted to see Darius fight. That would have been a good fight.
Who?
But Darius, but he got canceled.
Who's Darius?
what's his name? Ben Adriwil, something like that. He was a very good fighter.
Are you talking about Benil Dariush?
Yes, exactly. Close enough.
Darius Ben Adiwoon. Darius.
Potatoes, and give me back my notes, or you're gonna get the UFC
Yeah,
glove.
see, AJ.
You're gonna get the Bones Jones.
I stole
left.
your notes from out of your hand
Big deal.
because I wanted to see if you could actually name anyone that is on this card.
Listen, it's not a bad card coming off.
You
of the
don't know
239.
that. You don't even know who's fighting.
Hey man, you couldn't pick out the fighters that we called on Saturday night because I picked them out pretty much.
What are you talking about?
Most of my picks were right.
Some of your picks were right.
Who picked Masvidal?
Fred
Yes,
did.
Freddie did.
I did not.
But you know what? Can we get right into that so I can start getting like?
I mean, we all had.
had a headache all
Wait,
week
no.
because of
Actually,
that.
I want to stay on this. We all
Why?
had Jon Jones. We all had Amanda Nunes. I mean, what was your pick that was so special? You had Rockhold.
Yes,
Like,
that's a
what
very
was your
special
pick?
Yeah, and Rockhold lost, and we all picked against Rockhold, so we were correct. So I don't think there was ever an instance where you were right and we were
actually,
wrong,
me,
really.
myself, and your brother Ben picked Rockhold.
Yeah.
And if you watch the show, if you
And
look at
Fred
Saturday's
and I
show,
picked against him. We picked Jan Blachowicz,
Yeah, but you
and we
guys-
were right.
yeah.
Watch
okay.
the video.
Well, look,
Hey, we have a nice highlight video of our reactions to all the big
I think
knockouts.
it was awesome. Yeah, that
And
was
you
good.
can watch that on the YouTube channel, so check that out. If you don't want to sit through the whole 2-hour watch-along, you can watch a short, 8-9-minute video where you see our reactions to only the Rockhold
Did I break out in
fight.
tears on that one?
You looked very sad during
Yeah,
the
I was.
Rockhold fight. See AJ's face.
Sponsored by
See our
Kleenex.
face when George Masvidal knocks out Ben Askren in
Yeah,
5 seconds. When
okay,
Amanda
okay.
Nunes knocks out Holly Holm in the first round. And see my brother struggle to stay awake during Jon Jones' 25-minute fight. I think a lot of people were struggling to stay awake. I was a little bit like, hey, man, wake up. But then at the same time, I was like, well, he is representative of what a lot of MMA fans are doing right now, falling asleep watching Jon Jones have a pretty boring
Come on,
performance.
guys. What do you mean boring? Seriously?
You were
You said
entertained?
that about Anthony Smith, and I thought it was a very good fight. I thought I was very entertained with Bones Jones. You know, it wasn't only Jones's fight. Santos fought really well.
So Santos was
considering
in the fight as well.
Santos was in the fight with pretty much all his left knee, his ACL, the meniscus, everything is destroyed from his leg. And I read the reports today. The guy's going to be out for 8 to 9 months.
Yeah.
So for anybody, and I know about
But
ligament.
that happened when? When did that injury occur?
I think it happened in the second.
In the second round.
Yeah, so
and
you gotta
that
give him-
fight went all 5 rounds.
Listen,
He
Santos
fought
is-
him on. Jon Jones couldn't finish Thiago Santos on one leg.
Listen,
Really?
Santos is a beast. You're not fighting a nobody, and I said
Those
that
are
the last
different
time.
stuff. Santos has the heart of a champion, okay? Nobody's
Yes.
going to take that away from him. But that doesn't mean that Jon Jones, who won the fight, okay? By the way, I rewatched it today. I gave him all 5 rounds.
Exactly.
I think he barely won every round, but he still won every round. But I could still be critical of his performance because he's fighting a guy that's on one leg and he wasn't very aggressive. He gave a little too much respect to Santos' power,
Well, I don't
which
know
he
about
needed
that.
to. Well, I think he didn't want to get too close to Santos. He was scared to get hit from one of his shots. And that created a fight that was kind of boring, where he basically just won on points. If you look at the stats, the striking stats are very low. There's not a lot of shots
Fred,
being...
That's right.
But doesn't that
he
make for a
stayed
smart
away.
fighter? Doesn't that make for a smart
he
fighter?
He avoided damage. He won on points, and he barely won on points. Okay, and even at the post-fight press conference, Jon Jones was asked about the fight, and seeing that the judges saw it 3 rounds to 2 for him, and one judge saw it 3 rounds to 2 for the other guy,
Doesn't make
he
sense.
was asked, would he have fought differently? Would he have maybe taken him down? And he said, yeah, probably, considering it was almost all taken away from me. I think Jon Jones won at least 4 out of 5 rounds, but you can make an argument for Thiago Santos winning 1, 2, and 5, and some people
Well, come on,
have
Dave.
made that argument. You can go back and
No.
watch the fight, AJ. It's
I
okay.
did, just like Fred did. And to be honest, we were watching it on Saturday, and when it came down to the split decision, which was
It was
really no
surprising.
way in hell that
I thought
was a
Jon
split
Jones
decision.
won every round watching
Exactly.
the fight. But people are, the first round was close, the second round was close, and the 5th round was close too. So you could, I guess, I'm not making the argument, but some people are out there
Sure.
saying, Santos
Like,
won
I could
those
see
rounds. I
Santos
disagree.
getting one of those rounds, but giving him 3, I kind of have an
that's
issue
hard.
with the judge that gave the decision to Santos. I thought that, to me, we didn't see the same fights.
No,
I thought Jon Jones clearly was winning every round. If anything, the Santos injury maybe created this boring fight because Jon Jones saw that, hey, I'm winning this on my feet. I don't need to go to the ground. I just have to be careful here, not get hit, continue to win every round, and that's what he did, you know? So
he makes the same money whether he finishes him or not in this fight. But does he make the same money next pay-per-view whether he finishes him or not?
Absolutely.
Like, if people know that Jon
Absolutely.
Jones is the man and Jon Jones is smashing people, I think they're more likely to buy the next fight. But if they know that Jon Jones is having performances like this, it may make people second guess the next time Jon Jones comes around. And the
No,
Anthony
Dave.
Smith fight was not good, and now the Thiago Santos fight is not very entertaining. It's reminiscent of the OSP fight. I think when it's guys that Jon Jones doesn't really respect or get excited for or get
So-
that motivated for, he shows up like that. And if the other guy doesn't push, well, that's the fight you're going to have. We could have had the exact same fight between Jones and Gustafsson the first time. Jones could have, if Gustafsson knee blows out in the second round like Thiago Santos and he's not able to push Jon Jones, well, Jones will just coast. But because Gustafsson was so good, well, Jones, who was not prepared for that fight, then he had to fight hard, and it became a legendary performance. The problem is Anthony Smith, Thiago Santos, and Ove St-Pierre did not push Jon Jones. They didn't push him.
Look, Santos.
And Glover Teixeira had a decision fight with him, but he pushed him. Like, that was a tough fight. Rashad Evans, though, he had a decision fight with him. It was a lot like this. Like, this is a performance that we've seen before from Jon Jones,
But
where
I think-
Rashad was on defense the whole time.
but
And
Jon Jones was more on offense against Rashad.
probably more than he was here against Thiago Santos. Less
I
careful.
think in a way he was still a little not scared, but he respected Santos' power because that's the only thing I think Santos was bringing to the game was that puncher's luck. Where if Jon Jones got a little too wild, like today I was rewatching the fight and he was very methodical. Where his leg kicks, he was protecting his head at the same time, so he never left himself like vulnerable to get hit, which probably was part of his game plan. I think if they ever rematch, he kills him. Like he killed.
You think so?
Oh yeah,
I
he
don't
killed
know about that.
Gustafsson in the rematch. I think
don't
if
know.
he fights Santos another time,
Well,
he kills him.
They, Fred,
he
I'm gonna
fought him with a limited tool set on purpose. He fought him standing up to beat him at his own game standing up, and he admitted that in the press conference after the fight. He said, you know, I wanted to beat him at his own game. I realized I was outstriking this great striker, and I wanted to show that I could do it. He's like, I knew I could have taken him down, but I didn't want to. And Fred is right. The next time, he's going to use all the tools at his disposal, and he will destroy him.
Well, I'm gonna
He
go on
will
the other side,
demolish
Dave.
him.
I'm gonna go on the
He
other
was
side.
able to
No.
beat him using a limited skill set.
And the same thing goes for Santos.
Because he didn't want to open up and show him. Because he sees Santos
Oh,
probably
Dave.
coming around a second time, and the next time, it'll be more impactful. Like, that's how good Jon Jones is. He can beat you not really trying his hardest, not using all the skills that he possesses.
I disagree with you guys both. First of all, it comes down to this. Santos said it himself. If he had all his tools, it would have been a much greater fight. And Jones, look, Jones is a champion.
I don't
He's
think
a smart
so.
fighter.
Jones
And
won the first round clearly.
He did. But what I'm saying is that you can't count the
Santos
first round.
had both his
He
legs in the first round.
Listen, the thing with Santos is that his tools weren't there. And Jones knew that as well. It wasn't that Jones had a boring fight. He knew that the only thing that Santos could do is have a Hail Mary punch. And he had a powerful punch with literally no knee. He had no leg to stand on. And he could still throw devastating bombs that if it clipped
Can I
Jones,
ask you something,
which it did
AJ?
happen a few times, Jones got worried and he pulled back. Jones is a smart fighter. He knew that this guy's dangerous. But if it happens again,
if you're in Jon Jones' corner
right.
after the second round,
Mm-hmm.
what would you tell him to do?
What I would tell
tell him,
that means you got to get
Kick
in
that leg. Kick it.
and he was.
Kick it,
Jones
kick
was
it.
kicking it as much. He was doing stomp kicks
Not that
on it.
much.
Not
Not
as
that
much,
much.
but that means he has to get within a certain range, which is dangerous because the difference.
Does he?
Santos was
his
throwing
kicking range. Jon Jones is super tall.
Yeah.
He's got way more range,
Right.
way longer than Thiago Santos, and we're talking kicking range. Like,
So-
I would have liked to have seen him throw more kicks. He
Absolutely.
wasn't that mean. He wasn't rough on Thiago Santos. When he saw and he had him hurt, it wasn't the lion Jon Jones with the killer instinct. It was just a guy willing to coast, make his money, and be all right to fight again in like 3 to 6 months. Like Jon Jones,
which just makes for a smart
fought a
fighter.
fight where he's like, I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to risk getting hurt. So I'm just going to coast. And that's okay. But if you saw their faces at the end of a 25-minute fight, it didn't look like they were in a 25-minute fight. Their legs were beat up.
Well, look at Jones.
Jones came in on to the press conference with crutches, yeah. And Santos had a wheelchair. So they were beat up. Their legs took a beating, but
it doesn't make for like an easy fight for Jones or whatnot. This guy was at a war. He got carried out by I think his brothers, for that matter. What it comes down to is this: is that if they went to the ground, it would have been a 50-50 because Santos already has a damaged leg. When your legs are gone, you can't stand up to really box or Muay Thai. What happens is that when you're on the ground,
How's your guard? How's your guard?
Your guard is not going to be great. But if you
get up quick?
The thing is that all Santos needed to do was get top mount. But top mount,
AJ,
you never
let me
know.
ask you something.
Right.
Your knee is hurt right now.
Right.
You tried to do jiu-jitsu today. What happened?
Yeah, get up and down quick. Like
what happened?
Transition.
It's
AJ,
hard.
what happened? Tell us what happened.
It's not good. It's not good.
Is your ACL and MCL split? Are you fighting Jon Jones when you're at jiu-jitsu? No. And you couldn't even go down for to get into somebody's guard.
And Jon Jones is an excellent grappler. Like, let's not shortchange him on the grappling.
He's amazing. But the thing is that Jones was concerned. So the thing is that he played a smart fight. It might have been boring. We talk about George all the time and the way he fought.
I think he was more concerned
what it comes
with
down
the
to
counter power.
Sure.
Because he didn't go in wild exchanging with Santos, in my opinion, because he was scared of the counter punch of Santos, which is probably the only way he could have got hurt. And yes, I would have preferred to see more takedowns or more attacks to the leg. But now we didn't see him.
Look, it made an exciting fight in my opinion.
I'm not going to put it in the top 5 or top 10 Jon Jones fights of all time. There's many better fights.
But do you not find this better than in the Anthony Smith fight? Yes or no?
No.
What? Come on.
No, there's not. He didn't throw enough strikes. Some rounds he threw like 12 strikes. He connected 12 times, which is like ridiculous in a round.
Yeah.
Again,
come on now.
But Santos connected like 6 times in those rounds.
This might happen again at some point with Santos. It might happen.
Probably, yes, and Jones will destroy him. But he beat him by split decision.
But do we agree? Like Santos,
first ever. This is the first time that Jones ever went to a split, right? This is the first time.
But Santos is out for at least like 10 months to a year right now.
Yeah,
and it would be kind of unfair to ask Santos to fight Jon Jones as a return match. So,
who wants that?
Yeah, exactly. So we could agree that for right now, these two are not gonna fight for like a while. Santos is gonna have to win some other fights, and who knows? Jon Jones might just be onto other things.
But he got a lot of respect for fighting the way he did, right?
Jon Jones,
you got to give credit to Santos.
Sure, Santos deserves credit for staying in there and not giving up. You know, what are you going to do? Next for Jon Jones. He finally opened up his mind to going up to heavyweight. Like, he seemed interested in it.
AJ is right?
In the post-fight press conference. No, you're not right.
It's not about AJ.
It's not about AJ.
I called it. You guys were dissing me the whole time. Go ahead.
You
not
said
true. I
you
agreed
said
with
you wanted to see Jon Jones go up to heavyweight.
Well, yeah, you did.
I didn't disagree. I was just telling you that in recent statements by Jon Jones, he wanted to stay at light heavyweight, and recent statements by Daniel Cormier that remain. DC said again this week that if he was to fight Jon Jones a third time, he'd want it to happen at light heavyweight. So I'm just telling you the facts, AJ, and you're just telling me what you want to hear. So Jon Jones did tell us what we wanted to hear. He said he'd be willing, if the money was right, to go up and fight at heavyweight against DC or go up and fight at heavyweight against Stipe. Whoever wins that fight, whatever. Jon Jones is willing to have these fights if the money is right. So I guess Jones at this point kind of feels like the division is nearly cleaned out. But at the same time, he was saying, oh, there's other guys. You know, there might be some guys that you want to see me fight. We'll see. The name of Johnny Walker came up, but Jones was like, the guy hasn't beat anybody in the top 10. Call me back when he beats somebody impressive, and then we can talk about Johnny Walker. So that's off the table for now until Johnny Walker comes back and beats somebody legit, okay? I think the next fight for Jon Jones is going to be Jan Blachowicz.
Very possible.
Or Daniel Cormier. I mean, I don't think it's going to be Stipe, but I could see it being DC. I could see it being at heavyweight or light heavyweight. It's very possible.
I want DC at heavyweight.
Exactly.
I'm going to put my name out there. I want to see DC Jones at heavyweight. This week, I was rewatching the last promo for John's Cormier. It was so incredible, man. The build up, the animosity. There's so much to this rivalry, man. Come on, we need to see
it's a money fight.
Now,
right,
last
Fred?
week on
That's
the
a money
show,
fight.
I was kind of like against this fight, and
No, you were against it for a long time.
I'm not into seeing them fight again at light heavyweight. I'm not into seeing that at all, and that seemed like that's what they wanted to do. But if DC is willing to have it be a heavyweight fight, if Jones is willing to go up and fight at heavyweight, then it changes an element of the fight. It changes a variable. It's not at light heavyweight. You don't have Daniel Cormier having to make the tough cut to 205 pounds. I think it was a hindrance to DC, and without that hindrance, I think he's a better fighter. I think he's a better heavyweight than he is a light heavyweight, and he might be the greatest heavyweight of all time. And if he can beat Jon Jones, I think you can make a claim for him being the greatest heavyweight, if not the greatest pound-for-pound fighter of all time. So, yes, I think that fight makes a lot of sense. If it's at heavyweight for the heavyweight championship, DC's got to get past Stipe in August, and then we'll see.
If you're DC, you gotta ask though for like some crazy testing. You gotta say like this guy has to
crazy
money, but
man.
also like Jon Jones has to be followed 24/7. I don't know, just monitor him. He goes to the bathroom, somebody goes with him.
Like, I think these guys are a little bit over it.
Fred.
Like, I don't think they have the same heat with each other that they had.
They do.
2 years ago.
Of course they do.
Just wait for one interview where like they're off the air and Jon Jones asks, "Hey,
I don't think it's the same.
You know you're there.
It's the same, man.
You know how he
if not
calls
worse.
DC."
Look, he said to the guy, "I'm going to come to heavyweight so I can make you retire, not as a champion."
Yeah.
So the guy is like pushing
mean.
the envelope, and on top of it all, Cormier
make him
won
cry to retire.
No, but Cormier just won the ESPY Awards as the best fighter of the year. So there's a lot on his head. He's technically a 2-belt champion.
Yeah.
I mean, the money fight, everybody wants to see Jones. Jones is a money maker in the UFC. No doubt about it. People come out to watch Jon Jones. And I agree with Fred on this. If the DC fight happens, which I think will happen before Blachowicz, it's going to be the fight of the year. And you know what? Cormier has a chance. Cormier has a legitimate chance.
I think he has a legit chance at heavyweight. And,
I think that would be
Jon
such
Jones,
a great way for Cormier to put an end to his career if he could beat Jon Jones.
You retires.
I know it would be his third defense as well. So he would go out tying the record for all-time title defenses at heavyweight, because if he's defended against Derek Lewis. If he beats Stipe, that's defense number 2. And if he could beat Jon Jones on the way out, he would tie Stipe's record, greatest heavyweight champion in the UFC ever, and beats Jon Jones, the greatest fighter ever. You couldn't really get much better than that. On the other hand, at this point in time, do you want to lose to Jon Jones? It's a big risk-reward type of deal for DC, and he's going to have to think about it. That's why I think money is the biggest factor. The UFC is going to have to roll out the money truck for Jon Jones.
Yeah, but
and
that's
Daniel
the biggest
Cormier.
money fight for DC. Other than if Brock Lesnar, which I kind of put away, like I don't think
It's not
Brock
happening.
exactly. So other than that,
Because
it's
the
Jon
UFC
Jones.
is not rolling out the money for Brock Lesnar. That's the only reason why it's not happening.
Dana White's not into big fights. That's another subject, though. But we saw some interviews. Dana White
doesn't like big fights.
Yeah, Dana doesn't
Dana
like big
White
fights.
wants to go to Dana White Contender Series and watch a bunch of guys that no one's ever heard of try to kill each other for a contract. That's what Dana White's interested in. I'm interested in high-level, big-name,
I wanna see
blockbuster
Khabib,
mixed
George.
martial arts.
Look, there's a lot of changes.
Give me George and Khabib. Give me Brock and DC. Give me the things you've promised me, Dana White.
But eventually he does deliver. Let's be honest. I mean, it does come to
when
Dana White. Look, he's done fights that everybody said
Jon
would never
Jones,
happen.
Thiago Santos?
No, I'm talking about outside. I'm talking about McGregor, Mayweather. And everybody said that wouldn't happen. Cejudo now is like blasting.
I'm not going to count
Nunes.
that one as a good hit from Dana. Like
Why
I know
not?
it was money-wise, it was great.
It was
but
the
as
best.
a fan of the sport, like
It actually brought the level of sports, both for boxing and MMA, to a different level.
Turned it into a circus.
Yeah.
It
You know
turned
what?
MMA into a circus.
No, it didn't. It didn't
Yes,
turn it
it
into a
did.
circus. I think it was a legitimate
Dana
fight.
White and Conor McGregor have turned MMA into a complete steroid circus.
You know what?
Oh, come on.
Look,
that promo and
listen,
everything was so
How much were they sold
dumb.
for? They were bought for they originally were
'cause
bought for
people-
$2 million and sold for what, $4 billion? Someone's doing something right. Let's be honest. Dana White knows what he's doing.
You're mixing
I want to
things
get back to
again.
Jon Jones for a second. I want to ask you guys a real question. Is Jon Jones worse since USADA came into testing?
He seems a little slower.
Now USADA came in 2015, okay, after the DC fight in January. So we're looking at the OSP fight, okay, the Daniel Cormier fight where he won, looked amazing, but then it was overturned because he tested positive for Turinabol, okay. Then the Gustafsson fight where he did look very good, and then the Anthony Smith and the Thiago Santos fight. So in 3 of the 5 fights that he's had post-USADA, he's looked very average. And in the fights previous, he has looked superhuman. Now, I am not accusing Jon Jones of anything I don't know, but I'm just looking at his fights post-USADA and his fights pre-USADA. There was a superhuman Jon Jones fighting Lyoto and Rashad like in 2011, 2012, 2013, and 2014. Jon Jones was superhuman. 2015, 2016, I guess he's getting a bit older, but really he's only like 28 at that point. I think
a lot of guys
there's a bit
don't
of
look
a drop off.
A lot of guys don't look the same since USADA. So to single out Jon Jones with another guy,
I'm just wondering what's the deal with Jon Jones.
I think he destroyed Gustafsson, if you're asking me. I think he destroyed Daniel Cormier, even though that one got overturned.
It got overturned for what? Steroid test,
exactly.
man.
But I mean,
the best
you're
fight
asking
he's
if,
had, the best fight he's had since USADA came in
Hey, he looked good.
test guys in the UFC, since the random testing, since all the drug testing came into the UFC, the best fight he's had, he failed. Well, he won, but it got turned into a no contest because he failed a drug test for steroids.
he looked good against Gustafsson. He dominated Anthony Smith.
Gustafsson was a beaten man before Jon Jones got to him. Gustafsson got beat by Anthony Johnson. Like, Gustafsson was done in 2015, just no one told him about it.
So what, he's not the same since USADA either? What about your boy Rockhold? He's not having
That's
success.
his boy.
That's my
No,
boy.
that's why I was turning
But,
around.
you know,
I got a good plan
That's
for your boy
AJ's
Rockhold.
guy.
I don't know. Maybe we keep it for later, but I got
No. Let's finish on Jon Jones for a second.
I got to hear
Huh?
that, Fred. Go ahead.
I
What,
mean,
he's not the same as... No, I'm
the
not going to
same.
go there. Look, he has his history of drug cheat. I'm not going to say, like, Jon Jones is not a drug cheat. He has his history of it. But I don't see that much of a decline. Like, his
I
fight
don't know.
against St-Pierre, I'm going to say he was off for a very long time.
That wasn't a great fight,
His
right?
fight against DC, where he tested positive, he looked great. His fight against Gustafsson, he looked great. In my opinion, he looked very good against Anthony Smith. Anthony Smith was on defense all along. He just survived. So, like, this Santos fight might have been a drop-off, but I'm not going to go... Jon Jones is a great fighter.
Yeah.
So what's happening? How come he's not demolishing guys like Anthony Smith and
Because he's
Thiago
bored.
Santos?
It's like anybody else, Fred.
Anderson Silva wasn't demolishing Talis Lattis and whoever. Like, I mean, sometimes they get bored.
It's not that they get bored. It's that people start to understand the style a lot more as the years go forward. And that's the thing. You could understand the fighter a lot more. People understood George during his
I
latter
think
years,
there's
other
some
than
of that.
Bisping.
I think there's
But
some of that, but I also think Fred's got something too with the boredom. I think he's a little
Listen,
bit like,
I agree with you on one thing that you
this
said
guy's
earlier.
not that serious. I'm not going to try that hard.
No, I agree.
This guy's knee
And
exploded.
that's why you don't think a fight with DC with all the build-up and all like that,
Yeah.
that's going to bring out the best out of Jon Jones.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
motivate him.
And that's the thing with Jones. Jones has to really dislike a guy to really kick up his game. And we've seen that. And that's why
You
I
know
agree
who's
with
like
you guys.
that also is Israel Adesanya. Like, he's been calling out Jon Jones a lot, but I watched his whole conference with Whitaker. This guy also, he needs to have an enemy. Like, he needs to...
Like Masvidal. I think Masvidal proved it best. I mean, there was a real hatred between Ben and him. And obviously, that was the factor to become part of history.
Sure.
So-
Israel Adesanya, Jon Jones, by the way, should not happen. Luke Rockhold, real quick, he lost to Jan Blachowicz. You can see AJ's reaction on our YouTube channel.
He should fight Anderson Silva.
YouTube.com/ringsidereports.net.
Yeah.
That could be
hold on.
interesting. Wow,
Fred
that's a
thinks
good
he should
point.
fight Anderson Silva now. I think maybe he should retire, but I guess that's kind of like the same thing.
You're saying that Rockhold should
Anderson-
retire? Come
like
on.
both
Dave.
I'm saying fighting Anderson Silva and retirement is kind of like the same thing.
I mean, they're both past their better days. Nobody's going to argue that they're at the top of their game right now. And they're both stars. Rockhold's a former champ. Anderson Silva's probably the greatest champ of that division. Maybe it happens at 205 now, but whatever. I'd like to see it. Rockhold, Anderson Silva instead of Anderson Silva against Jared Cannonier or whoever's the next guy. Like, give me Rockhold.
How's Anderson's leg though? Remember that thing?
Didn't look too good, I'll be honest.
Against Jared Cannonier when his leg busted? I don't know, man.
He's got a problem.
44.
He's got a problem with his legs.
But I don't know if I want to see Anderson.
Well, if he's fighting again, I say Rockhold would make sense.
Yeah, I guess so.
But I don't know why you guys are dissing Rockhold so much. Yes, he lost. He was knocked out.
He's been knocked out twice in a row.
Let's not forget.
He fights so infrequently.
Listen, he lost in the second round. The first round went to Luke. Let's be honest. Luke won that first round. Fair and square, he won it. He went into the second.
I disagree.
He got caught. But I'm going to tell you something again. Like, he got clipped at the last second or on the bell again. And that's what took Rockhold off his game. And that was his first fight at 205. So, you know what? Let's give this guy another chance. He'll be back to fight. And we'll see what he could do at 205.
I'll tell you what. Dana White.
What do you say?
He thinks Rockhold should retire.
Yeah,
he says
but,
he's got a great modeling career. He should retire.
Yeah, he's going to say that to everybody. Obviously, they don't get along, right?
Okay.
But look, he's a fan favorite, guys.
AJ, we got plenty more to get to. I want to talk about Georges Masvidal. He was a big story this week, a record-breaking knockout of Ben Askren, and he's been talking a lot this week, doing all sorts of media. We're going to talk about Masvidal. We're also going to talk about a retirement from MMA, a former title challenger retired. A former WWE wrestler is going to fight Tito Ortiz. And John Lineker, after being released from the UFC, he signed on with a new promotion that we're going to get to when we come back here. Short pause for the radio side. It is Ringside Report. Stay with us.
Woo, woo.
All right. Welcome back. It is Ringside Report. I'm Dave Simon. Fred Garcia is here. AJ DeLessio is here. We're here with you Friday nights on TSN 690. You can watch us on YouTube, youtube.com/ringsidereport.net. Go to the channel, like the video, subscribe, leave a comment, and when you subscribe, click that little bell so you get the alerts whenever we are on live. Ringside Report Live goes Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Watch us on YouTube every Thursday, 8 p.m. on the YouTube channel. Freddie, AJ... They're all here on the YouTube channel. You can watch us.
We do our hair. We do our makeup. It takes a lot of work to get onto the YouTube show.
Are you doing hair and makeup?
Hair, makeup, for sure, man.
You're wearing makeup right now?
Listen, man.
Fred and I aren't wearing makeup, but that's okay. So
that's why I'm a fan of Rockhold.
You can watch the show. AJ is the model of the group. He's the Rick Martel of our crew. Well, I'm not sure he gets that reference.
No, I thought you were going to say the Rockhold of the group. But
you know who Rick Martel is?
Wasn't he a wrestler?
Yeah, from Quebec.
Oh, yeah.
The model, Rick Martel.
Better him than Kevin Owens, I guess, right?
What?
Comparing me to Kevin?
How dare you? All right.
I'm a Johnny North fan from Quebec.
Johnny North is the best, and you can, of course, watch Wrestling Uncensored on the YouTube channel. You can watch Dave and Johnny live every Friday at about 12:45, 1 p.m. Johnny and I go live. We're going to preview the Fighter Fest. No, not Fighter Fest. What is it? AEW's Fight for the Fallen, which takes place this Saturday. Johnny and I will preview that on Dave and Johnny Live. You can watch that on the YouTube channel. And you can also watch Wrestling Uncensored, where we will preview WWE Extreme Rules.
Wow.
And then after Extreme Rules on Sunday, we will do the Extreme Rules post-show on the YouTube channel.
Where's that taking place?
What?
The WWE fights.
Philadelphia.
Ooh, Philly.
Are you going to be here to watch Extreme Rules Sunday night, AJ?
Sunday night.
He definitely won't be. He's going to say maybe, but he won't show up. It's okay, AJ.
Maybe, dude, maybe.
It's okay.
You got some obligations now, you know?
Okay.
AJ's a very busy man. He's got a lot of things going on.
I'm going to see Def Leppard, by the way, next Wednesday.
What?
Yeah, I forgot.
I almost wanted to go.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you know what,
you have
Freddie?
your tickets already?
Listen, maybe I could spring something.
Yeah,
we'll
if
see.
you get tickets, I'm
Are you a Def Leppard fan?
Well, I mean, it's
Dave
my
is not a
generation.
Dave doesn't even know who Def Leppard is, for sure.
Some sugar on me. Come on, Dave.
Come on.
Nope.
Dave, do you know who Def Leppard is, first of all?
I'm familiar with the band, but I couldn't really... like, you sang the song... And I didn't really know that was Def Leppard.
That's the best dating song ever, Dave.
No, you know what? Pour some sugar on me.
In the early 80s.
Excuse me. Pour some sugar on me. What more can you get, man?
I don't know.
What does Travis Scott sing? Does he sing any romantic songs like this?
It's a different style.
Exactly. Def Leppard, Montreal.
Different generations on this show, obviously.
I'm
right?
sure You know
Their
what?
drummer has one arm.
What decade?
Yeah.
What decade were you born in?
Quiet, Dave. All I can say is this: is that
The 70s?
listen,
Yeah, he's
I
in
bet
the-
you,
you
I
You were
bet
in
you,
the 70s,
I
right?
bet you,
Fred, where were you?
77, so he has to be around.
Yeah, you're
70.
70s.
so I bet you
I was born
Wally
in the
would be.
mid-80s.
I bet you Wally knows Def Leppard. I think
Of
they were
course.
huge in
They're
Ireland.
British.
Yeah,
You know what? I think he does, and I think he's got a story about them, doesn't he?
with Def Leppard,
Yeah.
or was it Muscles Marco that had a story?
No,
with
no,
them?
no. What didn't Wally's? Oh, we can't talk about it.
Come on, Dave.
I'll tell you later.
It'll bring up the ratings.
What Wally will tell you. I'll tell you later. There is
man.
actually a Def Leppard story with Wally, but I can't
Well,
talk.
we
I
gotta
don't
hear
think I
this.
could talk about it on the show
Wally, send
because
us.
I think it was like a secret deal. Anyways,
What?
I'll tell you later, AJ.
That's like me and Harvey Keitel, man.
Yeah,
Kind of
that's
deal.
right. So, speaking of pro wrestlers, we're talking about pro wrestling. Tito Ortiz is going to fight again in MMA. He
Awesome.
fought Chuck Liddell a few months ago. When was that? A while ago. And now he's going to fight again against former WWE wrestler Alberto Del Rio. I don't
Very
think he goes under Alberto Del Rio anymore. I think that's a WWE trademark. So he's Alberto, I guess, El Patron. That's what he's gone under for different things. People are saying Alberto Del Rio, but I don't think he's allowed to use that name. His real name is Jose Alberto Rodriguez. Maybe he'll be using that name. Maybe he'll be using the name Dos Caras Jr., which is a name he used not only in Mexican wrestling under a mask, but also in mixed martial arts. I don't know if you knew this, but the guy has a 9-5 professional MMA record, fighting mostly for Deep in Japan, Pride a couple of times.
He fought in,
and
like,
then various
2010, man.
various MMA places in Honduras, Mexico, and Spain. So Del Rio has fought
He fought Mirko
for a
Krokop.
while. He fought Mirko
That's
Krokop
not a
under a
joke.
mask and was knocked out in 46 seconds in 2003.
That's not a joke either.
That's not
No
a joke either.
Well, Krokop in 2003, look out. That
He
guy
was a beast.
bad man. You don't want to take those kicks.
Those were legs of steel.
What
back
was
then.
it? Was it right kick, hospital, left kick, cemetery?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what Krokop. That's what they used to say about Krokop.
Till he met Gabriel Gonzaga, and then that leg got twisted.
And then
One of the most gruesome. I think that was one of the
He
most
got-
gruesome things.
Gonzaga Krokop.
He Krokop. He Krokoped him out of.
Has anybody
out of the
ever
ring.
had better head kicks in the sport of MMA than Mirko Krokop? Like, there are guys with some cool kicks, like a Edson Barbosa type or whatever.
Overeem? I mean,
Overeem's got some good kicks, but they're solid. Like, the head kicks aren't
Krokop was
as
the master
famous.
for that.
Krokop was like the king of the head kick. He would kick you in the head, and he would land those shots. Remember when he fought Fedor, and he landed those shots on Fedor, and Fedor just kind of walked through them?
Incredible.
What a beast.
Yeah, but that was the early days, you know.
So Del Rio is going to fight Tito Ortiz. Del Rio has not fought since 2010. He's mostly been pro wrestling since, and that Ortiz and Liddell fight happened in 2018 in November. So
And
more
that's
recently,
happening for who?
it's going to be happening for Combate Americas, which is like, I think, mostly a Spanish language-based MMA promotion.
And the fight's gonna be in.
I don't
Somewhere
know
in
when.
South America for sure.
I don't know when. I don't know where. Maybe in Mexico.
I
It
would
could be in
imagine.
Mexico.
Which makes sense.
That would be huge. But Del Rio is gonna fight Tito Ortiz apparently this year. Del Rio has been doing
I
a lot
got
of
a
work
thing.
with Combate Americas. He's been kind
He
of
was
like,
the president at
he
one
was
point.
like the president. He's been doing commentary.
I was gonna say I gotta think they're both getting good money for this because like Tito Ortiz he's old and he's past his prime, but he still has opportunities. You know, somebody's gonna give him good money to fight. So for him to go over there, hey, they have to make it worth
money,
his
yeah.
while.
Del Rio has been a problem case in pro wrestling. He's had what we call in wrestling business demons.
What do you mean?
You know, the demons. He's got the demons. There was an incident with him and Paige in an airport
What?
where he was like, "That's not my cocaine. That's her cocaine." You know, there was like a whole thing. She got arrested. It was an incident.
What?
He was dating
So whose
the
cocaine was it?
the wrestler Paige. I don't know whose cocaine it was.
I mean, that's the main
He claimed
subject here.
he
I
claimed
wanna
it was
know.
her cocaine. She claimed it was not. I don't know, but
Wasn't mine.
Del Rio's got demons. I don't know if he's cleaned up his
Well,
demons.
Tito has a couple of demons himself.
Well, that's it. Del Rio's very similar to Tito Ortiz. He's kind of he's a little bit ostracized from the wrestling business. Like, he's not really used a lot by many promotions, considering how talented he is. People
Is he
don't
still
use
in
him
shape?
because, yeah, he's still in shape. Like, he's still good, but people don't use him because of kind of who he really is, you know? You hear stories. I
wanna know these
always was a
stories.
big fan of Del Rio. I don't really know him, but you hear stories
Yeah,
about
but how
Del
bad
Rio
could they be if they
maybe
don't...
being a shady character. All I know is when the WWE found out that Paige and Del Rio were dating, they put them on separate shows, traveling on different tours. Like, they put Del Rio on Raw and they kept Paige on SmackDown or something.
But why?
They
what's
didn't
the
like them
point?
together. 'Cause
I'm sure there's a lot
Del
of
Rio
relationships.
was a bad boy of the WWE, and to be a bad boy of the WWE, I don't know what that means, but I assume demons.
Maybe McMahon had some hots for Paige. That's the thing.
I don't think that had anything to do with it.
You never know,
AJ,
Dave.
I think you're confused. You really
And
don't
here
know.
he goes with pure speculation,
Pure
out of
speculation.
nowhere.
Listen, why
On a
would you separate
situation
them?
he knows nothing
Nothing
about.
about.
Absolutely. I just know, like, human nature. Why would you separate them? Something is up there, Dave.
Maybe they're trying to protect Paige. I don't know. Do you even know who Paige is?
Yeah, I know who Paige is. I don't know her, like...
What's her hair color?
Purple.
Nope.
Close enough.
No, it wasn't.
Well, who cares what her hair color is?
You don't know
my
who
hair
she
color?
is.
I know the name. I know.
Yeah, what country is she from?
Listen, what is
Is
this?
she
Jeopardy? For
related to
500.
Diamond Dallas Page?
Who?
Is
Oh,
she
maybe
related?
that's what I meant.
She related to Diamond Dallas Page?
Well, if her last name's Page, chances are, like Ricky Simon and Dave Simon,
See,
they might be related.
Just to prove to everyone that AJ doesn't really know everything, sometimes he just says things
Hey,
without
listen, man.
having any facts.
I'm not into
We
the.
just proved it right there.
Listen, I'm not.
AJ
I admit I'm not a
just
pro
pulling
wrestling guy,
things
but I love
out
pro
of thin
wrestling
air.
because it's awesome. But so what? What do you want me to do? So I got the Jeopardy question wrong. Sue me.
No, because
Anybody
you have opinions on people that
No,
you
I'm
don't
just-
even know.
Listen, man. All I'm saying is this: why would they separate them? That's all I asked. I don't have to know. Like,
told you
we were
why.
talking about OJ before, and that's a totally different topic.
Okay,
but
let's not go there.
let's not go there,
Okay.
OJ.
AJ,
Run, Juice, run.
AJ better not ever pull an OJ, my friend.
wow.
Well,
That's
That
pretty
took a
bad.
dark
That's a
turn.
bad one, Dave.
I'm just saying.
Dave, that's pretty
you
like
better
harsh.
behave yourself, my friend.
Listen, man.
There's no slicing
I'm not the one.
through that.
Oh, God.
Ooh,
Let's stop.
that's
Let's stop while we're ahead, okay?
Holy smokes.
Let's stop while YouTube is...
Don't squeeze the juice there, Fred.
Okay. So, George Masvidal. All right, guys. George Masvidal knocked out Ben Askren in 5 seconds. He's calling for a title shot. UFC's not sure what they're going to do with him. We got Robbie Lawler fighting Kobe Covington in about a month's time. I think there's still a possibility that if Covington wins, he gets the next title shot at Kamaru Usman. I'm not sure it's going to be George Masvidal. I think if Ben Askren would have won that fight, he would have got Usman, but now
It
I'm
kind
not
of-
so sure.
kind of works out.
Masvidal is talking about fighting Conor McGregor.
That
Who
makes
do you
sense.
think? Who do you think Masvidal will fight next?
Well, you know what? Can I just go before
No,
I say
just
who it
answer
is?
my question.
Look, I don't think Masvidal was the real champion of that fight. First of all, who do I think he's gonna fight? I think.
Wait, who's the champion of that fight?
Of what fight?
Look,
What are you talking about?
it's not.
What are you
like
talking
he
about?
won. He
In
knocked him out in 5
5
seconds,
seconds.
but it doesn't justify him being the dominant fighter.
But
He
that made him a highlight reel.
It did make him a
That
highlight
put him
reel.
in the
but
head
listen,
of everybody,
if
like-
they fight 9 out of 10 times, it definitely will not be that.
It would
I
be the
think,
same.
I think if you're dominating a
Well,
fighter
I don't
for
think it would be
3,
exactly the same.
It
but I
could
think
happen.
George probably wins more than once out of 10 times. AJ.
yeah, maybe. But listen to this.
Ben Askren's overrated.
No, he's not. He just made a mental mistake. I mean, the whole thing from leaning on the cage, it took
Jorge
Ben off his game.
capitalized.
He made a mental mistake, and you know what? He got knocked out from here to like Kingdom Come. He was done.
You're making
And
excuses.
I'm not making excuses.
So
All I'm
who-
saying is
who
this:
should Jorge
is that
fight?
Askren.
Who should he fight?
I would love to see him fight Conor.
Are you
actually.
trying to make the argument that George Masvidal came out less of a winner than Ben Askren did when he knocked out Ben Askren in 5 seconds?
No,
You're saying
I think
Ben
Masvidal
Askren-
is awesome. I think he's completely
So who's the champion of the fight, AJ?
the winner of the fight, not the champion. The winner of the fight that executed a move that someone made a mistake is Masvidal.
Okay.
Ben Askren made a mistake by reaching out.
Yeah,
Maybe
obviously.
he
But,
made
but
a
isn't
mistake.
that the type
But
of
most-
loss that completely shatters like
But
the
it doesn't say
reputation of
no,
Ben Askren?
Yeah, it does. And Askren actually said it himself. He says, "You know what? It's all right, David. Where's the camera? There it is. Look, listen to this. Askren made a mistake, It happens. And
it was
you know
an
what?
awful shot. Like, we agreed when we saw it.
It was a deadly shot. I thought his career was over. I've seen the interview with Ariel and Ben Askren. Ben Askren was cool about it. He agreed. He made a mistake. But it doesn't mean that you dominated the fighter. If Masvidal would have dominated Ben for 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds, I would say right there and then, that's the better fighter. They're going to fight again at some point. It's not going to happen
There's
right away.
no reason for Masvidal to fight again. He did.
But Ben,
he destroyed him in 5 seconds.
He did.
How better can it go for Jorge?
Just like, look.
Okay.
It was just.
Can you please answer the question? So you want to see Masvidal fight Conor McGregor?
I think that's
next.
a good fight for Masvidal.
Do you think that's going to happen?
I think that could happen.
Hell no. I don't think so whatsoever. No chance in hell.
It could happen.
But I think it could generate a lot of like buzz because I mean, right now. I don't think it's going to happen either, but Masvidal is a star right now. This week he made the rounds on the ESPN shows and all. Like Masvidal's value is as high as it gets.
He does.
Now I'll tell you who I want him to fight. I want him to fight one of the Diaz, any one of them.
How about this? Nate Diaz. Okay, Nick Diaz is basically retired. I don't know what he's doing, but I think Nick Diaz is partying, whatever. Nick Diaz, George Masvidal was talked about a little while ago, but it never happened. I don't think that fight's going to happen. How about Masvidal fights the winner of Pettis and Nate Diaz? Pettis and Nate Diaz are fighting in 2 UFC pay-per-views from now. There's going to be a second UFC pay-per-view in July, which is something they don't ordinarily do. They usually do 1 pay-per-view a month, but in a couple weeks we've got UFC 240, which is kind of not great. But UFC 241, that's like the big one where DC fights Stipe and Nate Diaz fights Anthony Pettis. Yoel Romero and Paulo Costa on that card, too.
That's going to be good, finally.
Hey, you guys want to have poker night then, August 17th?
Let's do it. Yeah. That's a good night. Come on, Freddie. Fishing? Freddie's fishing again.
I'm at Cirque du Soleil, unfortunately.
Cirque du Soleil?
Oh, my God.
Whoa.
Freddie's joining the circus.
Yee.
So...
That's a Quebec thing.
I think the winner of Anthony Pettis,
they're pretty
Nate
international.
Diaz,
they are, but it's from most people don't realize that the Cirque du Soleil comes from Montreal.
Anthony Pettis and Nate Diaz. I think the winner of that fight takes on George Masvidal. I don't want to see Masvidal against Kamaru Usman. I don't think he can win that fight. I think Usman smashes Masvidal. And I think Pettis and Diaz, like the winner of that fight, very interesting against George Masvidal. I don't think George has ever fought Anthony Pettis, right? That's a good one.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Pettis just coming off a knockout win over Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, who is the last guy to have defeated George Masvidal. Let's not forget that George Masvidal, just before he went on this 2-fight win streak where he beat Darren Till and Ben Askren, he lost 2 fights in a row to Damian Maia and Wonderboy Thompson. So I don't think we need to be... Who are 2 great fighters, but I think we need to pump the brakes on saying, oh, Masvidal's the obvious number 1 contender when Wonderboy and Maia just beat him very recently.
I don't think he's the number 1 contender. I think he became a star, and I think that counts. We're always talking about big fights, and right now Masvidal is as hot as he's ever been.
Fight.
So, I mean, I could see like the UFC wanting to monetize this. There's a potential here for him to draw a lot of money for the company, and if he wins, he's just going to keep on going high. So whatever it is, like I agree, he's not getting a title shot, I feel. I'm going to throw out again Nate Diaz. If Nick wants to come back, I think those would be the ideal fights.
How about Pettis, though?
Also, if Anthony Pettis beats Nate.
Yeah,
like
sure. The thing is, if Pettis, I don't think Nick is even on the table. I don't think Nick's going to happen. I think Nick is probably retired at this point. But if Nate really is going to fight, if he loses to Pettis, it doesn't really make sense to have him fight Masvidal, right? But if Nate beats Pettis, then
that'll be a really
do
good
that.
fight.
That's a money fight. That's huge. Sure. But if Pettis beats Diaz, I think also that's a big fight. You do Pettis Masvidal, that's money. So I think either way, the winner of that fight takes on Masvidal, and that's the best case scenario.
Absolutely.
Conor McGregor's got other things to do. If I were the UFC, I would do Georges St-Pierre against Khabib Nurmagomedov after the Poirier fight, and I would do Conor McGregor versus Tony Ferguson, and then the winner of those 2 fights fight each other.
But that's not going to happen because Dana is boring. Dana doesn't like big fights.
Dana gave an interview with TSN this week and said, basically, I don't want to give George a title shot because George told me he was going to defend the title after Bisping, and he bailed after winning the middleweight title, so I don't want to give him another title shot against Khabib. Dana's just mad, and that's why Georges St-Pierre has been forced to retire, and we're not going to see Khabib fight Georges St-Pierre. Dana, though, did say even though he doesn't want to make the fight, that if Khabib wanted it bad enough and that was what Khabib wanted, then they'd have to talk about it. But Dana isn't on board, so he doesn't want to do what George wants to do. But if Khabib wants to do it, then they'll talk.
And that's why we're supporting Khabib. Come on, Khabib. Ask GSP. You want to fight GSP? That's a legacy fight, and you're all about legacy, Khabib. We know that.
He is, and in every interview he's giving, he's saying, I want to fight Georges St-Pierre. I don't care about Conor McGregor. I already beat him.
Dana, stop being a baby.
And he's also saying, he's like, look, I want to fight Dustin Poirier here in September, then I'll fight Tony Ferguson, and then I'll fight Georges St-Pierre.
And it's going to happen.
I'm saying, whoa. Tony Ferguson might beat Khabib, and then we'll never see Khabib and George.
Yeah.
Well, you hope that these fights
What about Tony Ferguson against GSP? Like, if it's the winner of Khabib Ferguson against GSP, I'm down for that also.
But
I think Khabib is an easier fight for George than Tony Ferguson is.
Yeah. And it's going to be a more moneymaker than that fight, right? You'd rather see Khabib?
I mean, at that point, Ferguson's going to be a star. If he defeats Khabib, he's just as big as
I think
Khabib.
Ferguson is already a star, and especially if he beats Khabib, then he's a superstar, and then him and George makes a lot of sense. But I just think that's a little dangerous for George, especially like 2 years away at 38, 39 years old, whatever he is, fighting Tony Ferguson.
But he came back after how many years?
Ferguson's talking about moving up to 170. He's like, look, if they're not going to give me big fights at 155, I'll go up to 170 and beat all those guys. And Ferguson's a big 155. I wouldn't be surprised to see him do it and be successful.
It won't happen because listening to that interview, like Dana unfortunately really gives the sense of like, oh, well, George didn't give me what I want, so now I'm not going to give him what he wants. I'm going to be hard-headed and blah, blah, blah. Like, unfortunately, that's what we're dealing with. Dana doesn't want to do big fights.
Yeah, but Dana does do big fights in the end. Like it's gonna happen.
Only if he can control the guy. Like basically,
what's the last mega fight that the UFC did?
Oh, he'll give big mega fights like with what he has under contract.
What do we have? No, but what's the last thing that they did that was really like, oh my god,
McGregor Khabib?
But this is about
the whole fiasco that happened for sure, and it's gonna happen again. Dana, like he doesn't. It's almost like he waits and he waits and he waits, and then he pops a major fight. It's like if you give too many fights, then people will get bored.
But you see, Dana will do the rematch against Conor and Khabib because he knows Khabib probably wins it. Where
what happens if he doesn't?
He's scared
wins
that
either
GSP.
way.
Well, he's scared that GSP beats Khabib and doesn't fight for a long time. Because if he thought Conor,
he'll beat Khabib and retire.
Yeah, exactly.
Dana doesn't want that.
Exactly. Because Conor's a little similar to GSP, where Conor's not fighting 2-3 times a year anymore. Like Conor's fighting whenever it feels good and the money's right for him. So
yeah,
but Conor would lose.
We are more than halfway through 2019.
True.
Conor McGregor does not have a fight announced.
But
Conor McGregor fought once in 2018. He lost to Khabib in October.
Well, he's training.
Is he going to fight in 2019?
He's training. His coach Kevin said it today. Like he's getting ready to fight.
Because we can trust his coach.
Who's he fighting?
I don't know, but he's getting ready to fight. For sure, we're gonna see Conor fighting before the end of the year.
Let's see that El Kakui fight. Give me that.
It might happen.
Conor and Tony Ferguson. That's the money fight.
And look, we got to get these fights done. We keep talking about George. George came back. He beat Bisping. George is the champion. He's the real GOAT.
Maybe Conor fights the winner of Pettis and Diaz?
It could be. Diaz wanted a fight.
That could make sense.
Yeah, that could be the fight. But let's put it this way. We need to see George.
When Diaz is in the mix, right? It's always a possibility.
Well, what happened with him and Khabib? What was that all about at the 239?
Yeah, Diaz and Khabib were both at the UFC show on Saturday night, and they got into a verbal altercation. They were separated before anything happened. They have brawled before. I think it was a Strikeforce event a few years ago. They had a brawl at the arena and in the hotel afterwards. Khabib and Diaz's crews. It got pretty crazy. There's a lot of video. YouTube, Diaz Khabib brawl, and there's stuff on YouTube.
I want to go back to Jorge. Why don't you think Jorge versus Conor makes sense? Because you don't think Jorge's like that. Like you think Jorge's a dangerous fighter, but you think maybe he's not like the elite level. So
he's not big enough. He's not a big enough name.
Well, there I disagree.
Well,
I think
he's getting up there.
I think
that's
he's
for
a
sure.
big enough star where he would generate a lot of buzz between him and Conor.
We're talking about Tony Ferguson, Khabib, Nate Diaz. These are Georges St-Pierre. These are mega stars in the sport. You know, Masvidal's becoming that, but
he's 2-0 right now, but he needs more.
Well, Conor doesn't want to fight George right now. He'd lose to that. He'd lose also to Khabib.
So give him Nate or Pettis. That makes more sense.
That can make sense, but I think like Jorge's just in that.
I'm giving
class,
everybody
like,
Nader Pettis. I'm giving
Yeah.
Masvidal Nader Pettis.
but he's in the
You
same
are
class.
right. You are right.
yeah.
I mean, I'm saying, hey, why doesn't Masvidal fight the winner of Nate and Pettis? And now I'm saying, well, maybe Conor could fight the winner of Nate and Pettis too. And if I'm giving those guys the same fight, I guess it makes sense that maybe they should be fighting each other. They're in the same conversation, but Masvidal,
And I'm saying
he's
it's a fight.
He's a 170 fighter as well. Like Conor's more 155.
So is Masvidal.
But I guess Nate and Pettis,
So
they're
are
fighting
they.
at welterweight as well in August. So maybe you're right. Maybe Masvidal and Conor. I just don't.
I would
don't-
think it's a winnable fight for Conor. So
Wouldn't
like,
you rather see Conor fight Ferguson?
yeah, I think Ferguson kills him.
I'd rather see Conor fighting.
So?
I'd rather see Conor fighting Khabib. That's what I'd rather see. That's the fight I want to see again.
You would rather see McGregor against Khabib than
Again.
McGregor against Ferguson right now.
Yeah.
Would you rather see Khabib against McGregor or Khabib against Ferguson?
Against Khabib. McGregor Khabib. I like
McGregor Khabib over
Yeah.
Khabib Ferguson,
Look,
which is the rightful number one contender.
Right, exactly. Tony,
You would rather see Khabib versus Conor over Khabib and George?
it'll be a
Would
bigger
you?
hype. And
Would you really?
Look, if
Are you saying yes?
what would I?
You want to see Khabib and Conor over Khabib versus George or Khabib versus Tony Ferguson? The Khabib-Conor rematch, where we all know what happened less than a year ago, you would rather see that fight than Khabib fight Tony Ferguson, who's the obvious number one contender, or Georges St-Pierre, who is the legend of legends.
Yep, absolutely.
Dog on
and
the bone.
and most people will want to watch that fight, and they'll get the most viewership. They'll break records because Conor breaks records. He breaks all
he'll
UFC
get
records,
destroyed again.
combat records.
Come on,
it doesn't
he'll
matter
get
because
destroyed.
people will tune in,
Come
and that's what the mass wants. MMA fans or non-MMA fans will watch this fight because of all the hype that happened. There's a lot of blood, and it's going to start happening.
People are watching and listening right now and booing you right now.
That's okay. They'll boo me,
Boo,
but
AJ.
those are the same
But
guys.
a lot of people are
those are the
cheering
same
for
guys.
you. A lot of people are cheering for you, AJ.
All of
so,
Ireland is.
I'm sorry.
But the thing is that most people might
a
boo.
lot of guys in cafes right now getting mad at me and
Yeah, they're like, well, Dave,
Settle
I don't
down,
know about
settle
this.
down, guys.
But listen, what happens is that even if they boo me or whatnot, they'll still watch that fight. You'll go out of your way. You'll be at a wedding, some funeral, whatever. You're gonna escape just to go see that
watch
fight.
every
I'm gonna watch all the fights.
You'll be on your first date
I'm
and
gonna
you'll be like,
watch
screw the date.
Jermaine Durandamy and Aspen Ladd on Saturday.
That's a good. Aspen Ladd is awesome. I think she's like really something interesting.
Okay. So, Masvidal, big win at UFC 239. It was a solid pay-per-view. It was a lot of fun. Amanda Nunes knocking out Holly Holm. Maybe the winner of Durandamy and Aspen Ladd takes on Nunes next, because I can't figure out what else you do with Amanda Nunes other than give her a
It's gonna
cyborg
start
rematch.
boring. It's gonna start being boring for her.
Pennington, that's about
Yeah.
it. No,
Nah, I think she smashes her.
I'm
There's
surprised
no
you
point.
mentioned
And
Sanchez
unfortunately
and Chiesa.
unfortunately for Amanda, she's not a big enough star where like she could carry all these pay-per-views by herself. So
Right.
she needs some good opponents. to-
Cyborg. Give her the Cyborg fight again. Like, come on, everybody
Yeah.
was shocked. Let's see Cyborg fight again. I think Cyborg's going to fight coming up soon, right? Like, she's got a fight coming up.
I think that's the last fight on her contract. Also, Cyborg.
Yeah, well, give her some money and keep her around for the Nunes fight. I'm sure she'd be into that. Cyborg is supposed to fight the Canadian fighter there, Felicia Spencer. Oh, July 27th, UFC 240. That's the next pay-per-view, by the way. There are some good fights on the card. Holloway versus Frankie Edgar will headline that one in a couple of weeks. Cyborg and Felicia Spencer is the co-main event. Olivier Aubin is going to be fighting
Olivier.
Armin Tsarukyan. And Marc-Andre Barrios is going to be fighting Christophe Jotko, so a couple Quebec fighters on this card. The rest of it, not the biggest UFC pay-per-view, not the biggest blockbuster deal coming up at the end of the month in Edmonton. Just wrapping up here, boys. I wanted to get to Chad Mendes, who says he's officially retired from mixed martial arts, so that's a career for Mendes. Or is it? Because guys say they retire, and then they say, maybe not. That's what Alexander Gustafsson's doing. After his last fight, he lost, he retired,
And he's back.
and now he's saying, yeah, maybe I'll come back.
It's like Uriah Faber. Tomorrow.
Yeah, Faber's been retired for years and now is coming back. I think he said he's coming back for money. I think he's like, I need the money.
Well, he has a business venture or something like that.
Apparently it's not working, or he needs the money to start up the business or whatever, but he hasn't fought in nearly 3 years. He retired in 2016. He's going to be taking on Ricky Simon on Saturday night in the co-main event. Ricky Simon is 26 years of age. Faber is 40. And Ricky Simon, my boy, has won 8 in a row now in his pro career and 3 in the UFC. So this is a big opportunity, a big name for Ricky Simon, and he's been doing very well. I don't like this fight for Uriah Faber.
He's fighting in his hometown. He's got that.
But he's 40 and he hasn't fought in 3 years, and he's coming back for the money. And he's also a plus 315 underdog. Ricky Simon minus 380 the favorite. Simons are my favorites too, so I'm going to go with Ricky Simon.
Well, Freddie?
Yeah, I got Ricky Simon. Unfortunately, I think Uriah should have probably stayed retired, but I'm not going to hate on him. As I say often, this is probably the easiest way for him to make a big payday. Like Uriah Faber, he's going to make very good money. Good luck for him.
Yeah, good luck to him. I mean, he is helping sell this Sacramento card. You look at it, it's not great. They got to sell tickets, so there you go. They put Uriah Faber on this thing. All of a sudden, you got the biggest star that's ever fought out of Sacramento.
I'm going Faber all the way.
Okay, AJ.
Simon is solid, but it's Faber's night.
Simon is always solid. Jermaine Durandamy and Aspen Ladd in the main event of this thing. Durandamy is the underdog, plus 140. Aspen Ladd, minus 160, the favorite. Durandamy coming off a lot of wins here, 4 straight, including a win over Holly Holm where she won the women's featherweight title. She then decided to drop the belt and go back down to 135 pounds where she beat Raquel Pennington. So she is a former champion, undefeated, pulling off a very strange move. I don't think I've ever seen that in the history of the UFC where someone has won a championship in a weight division and then decided, you know what, I'm going to drop to the lower weight division and just give up this title and give up being a champion. Bizarre move from Jermaine Durandamy, right? It seemed at the time like she was scared of Cyborg. I don't know what's going on, but
wasn't there also like a controversial shot in that fight against Holly Holm? She gave like at the end of the round or something. Like people were.
She won by decision.
Yeah, I know.
Though.
People weren't that high on her win. I remember, but yeah, it's a weird move to let go of the title and drop weight class.
Yeah, it was very bizarre, and she's still one of the best in the world. She was the champion at 145. And now she could potentially challenge for the title at 135 against Amanda Nunes. Because with a win here, I think she's next in line, at least at bantamweight. Nunes, of course, is the featherweight and bantamweight champion. I think Cyborg and Felicia Spencer, probably the number one contender fight for the featherweight division. And this fight here, Aspen Ladd and Jermaine Durandamy, the number one contender fight at bantamweight. Aspen Ladd is undefeated, 8-0, including 3 straight wins in the UFC. She is a very talented mixed martial artist, just 24 years old. There's a lot of promise here with Aspen Ladd.
Is she from Ireland, if I'm not mistaken? I believe so.
She's from California.
Aspen Ladd?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought she was. I'm sorry, man.
Okay, Jay, do you want to pick a winner?
For sure, I'm going to be going with Aspen Ladd. It's going to be a totally a submission night. She has amazing grappling. I mean, she's fought someone similar to GDR back in 2017 with Lena Landsberg. So she's used to that Muay Thai clinch game and everything, but she ended up winning. So the bottom line is, look, if it goes down to the ground, Aspen's winning.
Okay. You like Aspen's submission game, even though she's only won one fight in her pro career by submission.
Did you see her grappling game on her last fight? She's awesome, this girl.
She's
and
good.
This is what it's going to come down to. She's not going to stand up with a Dutch Muay Thai boxer or kickboxer.
I think she loses if she does that.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to go with Jermaine Durandamy. I think Jermaine will win this fight.
Do I really need to pick somebody?
Pick it, Freddie.
Just give me a winner, man. Anybody.
I'll go
with Jermaine also.
Okay. Fred's done. Fred's like, all right.
I mean, I just want to see somebody come up as a challenger.
So this
for
could
Amanda.
be a big win for AJ next week. because you both went
This
against
is not
Faber.
about AJ,
It's not
man.
about
Yeah,
AJ.
for sure it's about because
It's
I gotta
never
win.
about
I
AJ, man.
gotta bring it up. I'm gonna have to win.
Any other fights on this card that you know so well that you're looking forward to? How about this fight? This is the one fight I want to see, and I'm surprised you didn't know about this, AJ. Ryan Hall. You love jiu-jitsu, right?
I didn't think
Ryan
he was
Hall
on the card.
is going to be fighting Darren Elkins.
I didn't think that
Nice.
was on the card.
It's a
I
great
thought,
fight.
Yeah,
It is.
Ryan Hall is
It's
amazing.
on the
I've
prelim
seen.
card. I don't know why it's not on the main card.
I'm
It's
going.
the
makes
prelim.
sense.
I'm going Hall by submission because
Yeah.
I don't.
That's
I
a
don't.
pretty safe
Oh,
bet.
yeah.
Well, I don't think Elkins has like the power to hurt Hall early.
No.
So this fight is gonna last, and he's probably gonna find a way to rip an Achilles or something.
But how does it make
Ryan
sense?
Hall's last fight beat BJ Penn in the first round, submitted him by a heel hook.
So
was
how do you go to
pretty slick.
prelims? How does that make sense? You beat
Because
BJ
Ryan Hall
Penn,
doesn't play the game. Ryan Hall picks and chooses his fights, and he shows up once in a while.
and he's not a trash talker.
He's not trying to become the best in the world. He's just trying to have some fights every now and then.
He's a 50-50 guy, man.
Okay.
But
So I got
should get him
Ryan
on the
Hall
main
by
card.
submission. Juliana Pena and Nico Montano also on this card. That is a great fight. Haven't seen Juliana in a while since January 2017.
She's the one that won the Ultimate Fighter. Yeah.
Yeah. She was a title challenger at one point until she ran into Valentina Shevchenko and she got submitted. But hey, Valentina Shevchenko is no
killer.
joke. She's a killer. Nico Montano also very good, coming off a win over Roxanne Modafferi, but she hasn't fought in quite some time since 2017. Montano is actually the former women's flyweight champion, but they stripped the title from her when she was unable to fight due to injury. So it's been quite some time since we've seen either of these ladies, and that's going to be on the prelim card. Montano versus Pena. Montano going up in weight to 135 here. Those are good fights on the prelim card, almost more interesting than some of these main card fights. Like Josh Emmett, Mirsad Bektic.
that'll be
I'm
a
more
good fight.
interested in Ryan Hall and Darren
Josh
Elkins.
Emmett's a good fighter still. I like to see Josh Emmett fight.
Yeah, but Ryan Hall, man.
It's Ryan Hall.
I'm
He
more
beat
interested
BJ
in
Penn.
Ryan
What more
Hall.
can you ask for?
Well, I mean, a lot of guys are beating BJ Penn
Yeah, but
lately.
you're beating BJ Penn at his game. Come on.
Okay, come on. Come on, AJ.
It's Ryan Hall's
listen,
game right now.
UFC Sacramento going down Saturday night in Sacramento.
Sacramento.
And it's going to be on TSN 5, I think, at 8 p.m. I don't know. One of the channels. Check your local listings. And finally, John Lineker signing with ONE FC following his UFC release. That was kind of a head-scratcher to a lot of guys. Lineker had a good UFC record, and he was released last week, but picked up by a good promotion out in Asia, ONE FC. And that just about does it. We are overtime here
What?
for TSN 690 on the radio side. Check us out on YouTube. Go to the channel, youtube.com/ringsidereport.net. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click that little bell so you get alerts every time we go live. We do go live on YouTube, a special presentation of Ringside Report Live every Thursday at 8 p.m. Come check us out on the YouTube channel, Thursdays at 8. Dave and Johnny live every Friday at about 12:45. Friday afternoons. Wrestling Uncensored on the YouTube channel.
Crazy.
More info, go to ringsidereport.net where you can listen to the latest episode of What's Phantom in Japan, the New Japan Pro Wrestling podcast dropped this week, myself and the Green Phantom. That's a podcast exclusive show. It's not on YouTube yet. We'll get it there one day.
I hope he wears his mask
He will.
all the time.
He
Yeah.
will. But Green Phantom and I talked about the G1 Climax 29
Easy, Dave.
starting really this weekend. It started last weekend in Dallas, but this weekend it begins in Tokyo, Japan, and we discussed that on the latest episode of What's Phantom in Japan, available for download right now. More info for all the stuff at ringsidereport.net. Follow AJ on Twitter and Instagram at Dan E. Bruck. Follow Freddie at Freddie MMA. And you can follow me on all the things at Dave Simon MMA.
All right.
For AJ and Fred, I'm Dave, and this has been Ringside
Report!
Yeah. We're still on YouTube.
Listen,
boys.
I just wanted to say one thing. John brought up a comment here. I didn't know if you've
John
seen
who?
it. John Hestrom. He says, you'll see Conor versus George before Conor versus Khabib again. What do you think, Dave?
Disagree.
What? John, you got any comments there?
Kind of disagree also because right
I don't
now
think Conor versus George will ever happen.
and George is not in the good grace of Dana right now. Like Dana knows that George probably beats Conor and probably beats Khabib and then probably retires, and there's nothing for Dana to win there. This is a lot about control, and he's not controlling George like he wants to, and we're not going to get those George fights.
Correct.
Yeah, but he's also saying here, let's not forget.
Conor is not the guy who's going to push for a Georges St-Pierre fight. Conor is not that interested in fighting a guy like Georges St-Pierre. That's the thing that Khabib wants to do. I've never heard Conor really talk about fighting George and his desire to do that. So if George is going to get a super fight, it's more likely Khabib. I don't think Conor wants that. He doesn't want a piece of George.
And then he says as well, don't count out Poirier versus Khabib, which makes sense. That would be a very interesting
Sure,
fight.
Poirier could definitely beat Khabib,
Yep.
but I think a lot of people expect Khabib to win, right?
Yeah, I got a hard time seeing Poirier win, but Poirier's been doing good lately. So I'm not going to count him out, but I'm going to pick Khabib.
It would be a pretty big upset, though.
Yeah,
right?
I would consider that an upset.
I mean,
Yeah.
Khabib's undefeated. He's a killer.
And I don't think Poirier has the wrestling defense to stop. Like Iaquinta was like a big, stocky guy, a little hard to bring to the ground maybe.
But he fought a good
and
fight.
Khabib still managed to do what he wanted with it.
Yeah, but his striking was like average on that fight. Al was really peppering him. I mean, at that point there, I thought Al was going to win at one point. I'm like, he's going to take out Khabib.
AJ.
Come on, Khabib's okay, he threw out some good punches overall, but they were just average. His defense was average. That's why I was surprised with the Conor fight. Anyways, back. What does it say here? He says, John says the same thing, that Conor Khabib will never happen.
He's saying Conor Khabib will never happen again, and that's
I hope
sad
it does.
news for you, AJ, because
You know
that's
what?
the fight you want to see. How
It'll happen,
how
John.
do you
It'll
want to
happen.
see that fight over Tony Ferguson and Khabib? It makes no sense.
You know
man.
why? Because it's just that whole ending and how everything like went out of control. There's a lot more to this
What
story.
makes you
There's a lot
believe-
more to the story.
What makes you believe that Conor is dedicating himself to training right now?
It's listen from what Instagram, Facebook, personal information. Let's put it this way: Conor is training. No matter what you think, just like
Are
George
you
is
trying
training.
to claim you have some sort of inside source?
Hey, lad,
which
you think
don't?
Ariel Hawani actually has the only inside information and all that kind of stuff? I have too. I'm around these guys at times. I know.
I don't think you do.
Listen, I'm going to tell you this. Conor's going to be back before 2019.
I don't think Conor's
And
that
he'll be
hungry.
back.
He'll be back for the
sooner.
money.
For sure,
he'll be back for the money. But I
he's
don't
training.
think he's that hungry.
He's hungry.
Where he's training
hungry.
every day to beat Khabib.
You know-
I don't think so.
Hey, listen, man. You can have all the money in the world. You must remember one thing. You'll never forget where you came from. Conor came from no money,
Once
and
there's
the
a
one
lot of
thing that he
money, you
has,
kind of forget
one thing
things.
that he has is it's called pride. And yes, it's very dangerous. But in the fight game, that's all it's about. You fight not because of the money. Mike Tyson wasn't fighting because of the money at one point. He wanted to fight to like win. He was an animal in the ring.
No, he was fighting for the money because he lost it all.
The bonuses is that you get the money.
And actually,
Conor doesn't need the money.
Let me cut you here, please.
Yeah.
Let me cut you here because Mike Tyson at the end was saying he hated fighting. At the end of his career, he didn't enjoy it no more. It wasn't
Why?
fun for
It
him.
wasn't because of the fight. It was because of the fight, the circus. But he likes the fight. You can't take the fight out of a fighter. And I'm going to tell you this: is
What
that
the fuck are you talking about right now?
Hey,
Like,
listen,
I don't
Dave.
even know.
Dave, I'm going
It
to tell
makes
you
no
this:
sense
Conor
right now.
makes more money from his proper 12 than he does from the UFC. Maybe not from like
So he doesn't
the
need to
Mayweather
go
fight.
train.
He wants to fight because you know what? When you get dissed enough and you see comments over and over and over again, you want to fight. You know, it hurts you. I remember, you know, and it's going to get to you.
This
Even
is
a couple
why
of
Conor-
things.
This
There's
is
no
why Conor
crying
would
in
fight
MMA.
Khabib.
Like
Conor's going to
feelings-
fight Khabib because
I'll
it's
tell you why.
pride.
Because
Irish
if
pride.
Conor's gonna fight again, he wants to make as much money as possible. And
He doesn't
knows
need the money. Come on.
Khabib is the money fight. Conor is all about the money. Are you kidding?
He is about the money, but it goes beyond the money.
Khabib
he
is about
wants to
legacy.
redeem himself.
Habib is about
Absolutely.
legacy. Conor's about money.
No, but Khabib wants the money too because he could have fought a few times. He's going to Saudi Arabia because there's more
Khabib
money
is
there.
not about the money. Khabib.
Not about, but it's
First of
still
all, he's
helps
not going
for
to
him.
Saudi Arabia. He's going to Abu Dhabi.
Abu
Those are
Dhabi, sorry
different
about that.
places,
Yeah.
AJ.
Yeah, I
Okay?
apologize.
Second of all, Khabib could have done a public service announcement for the state of Nevada when he was being fined and got his fine and suspension cut in half, but he chose not to because he didn't agree with gambling and legalized prostitution that goes on in the state of Nevada and weed and all that stuff that they have in Nevada. So he's like, how will I do a PSA for you guys? Your morals are all out of whack. I'm not going to do a public service announcement for you guys. So screw that. You can take my money. I don't care. He's not about the money. He's about something different. And I don't think Conor is about that. Conor is like, oh, you'll reduce my sentence? Cool. I'll record a little video for you, and we're all good. Drink proper 12, and let's move on.
Conor will be back. Sorry, John.
No one's saying Conor won't be back.
He'll be back to fight and redeem.
Well, yeah,
that's what it's going to come down.
Fight for money, the most money possible, and it'll either be Nate Diaz or Khabib or somebody like that. You know,
Holloway.
It could be Masvidal. Who knows?
Yeah, you know, John is right. He just said that George hates fighting. He's absolutely right. George hates fighting, but he still comes back. That's the thing. In the end, he's still a fighter. He's going to be back. George will be back.
He hates fighting, but he says he likes the lifestyle that fighting affords him.
Sure, but you didn't get into the UFC because you were going to go square dancing, right? You got into the UFC to box.
He also has legacy fights that he wants, and he also wants to be looked at as the greatest of all time, and beating Khabib would cement him as that guy. No one has ever won a championship in 3 different divisions. He could do it. All right. You want to wrap this thing up? You guys want to talk about basketball?
Basketball?
I don't know. We were talking about basketball or whatever last week.
I got into a good argument today with basketball. Just so most people don't know, John is from the States.
Russell Westbrook got traded during our show. He's going to Houston.
What?
Which is surprising because I wanted him to go to Miami, so I'm kind of disappointed there. But he's going to Houston against he got traded for Chris Paul.
Don't get choked up.
Okay.
There. I was going to say
2 awful contracts. Russell Westbrook is going to make $47 million in like 3 years. He's got like 3 or 4 years on his contracts. They're like 41, 43, 45, and 47 million a year.
Damn.
Cha-ching.
Damn. Good for you, Russell Westbrook. Enjoy Houston, Texas.
Lower taxes also. Man, that's a lot of money.
Go play for the Rockets, following the great tradition of
Go Raptors, go, man. Canadian.
Raptors.
First of all, that's what I was getting into the argument today, is that most people didn't realize that basketball was invented in Canada. In fact, it was invented in Montreal.
Who cares?
I do care. I care about that.
So, big trade?
Big trade.
All right.
What about hockey?
Anything else going on? I don't know anything about hockey.
Neither do I.
Come on, guys. What else is there? The Montreal Impact. There's the Alouettes. We're looking at Dave is going to be. Are you talking about that show in Ontario?
What are you talking about?
You being on that show.
You mean Wrestling Uncensored?
Yes, sir. It's important to know
that
who comes
show,
from there.
The show Wrestling Uncensored?
No, I'm talking about the station that you were talking about.
Yeah, we're going to be on a station in Peterborough, Ontario. I was going to make the announcement tomorrow on Dave and Johnny Live.
Why? You do it on our show.
Why?
Because we got a live audience right now.
I'll do it with Johnny North.
First of all, just so you know.
It was his birthday this week. It was his birthday yesterday. You wish him happy birthday?
Johnny's?
Yeah, Big Johnny's.
Oh, my G. I forgot. Johnny, happy birthday, buddy.
Happy birthday, Johnny.
I'm saying it to you for next year, so now I'm in time.
We love you, Johnny North.
When's Johnny's birthday? Okay, so we got to do something for Johnny.
Yeah, well, we're going to reveal that Wrestling Uncensored is going to be on a new radio station, a second station for Wrestling Uncensored. We're going to reveal that for Johnny's birthday tomorrow, 12:45 on Dave and Johnny Live. We're also going to preview AEW's Fight for the Fallen that's going down on Saturday, and we are going to recap Impact Wrestling Slammiversary.
That's pretty good, actually.
Are we flexing? What's happening here? All right.
Sponsored by TRT.
Yeah.
And Jon Jones.
We're all on steroids.
And Vito Belfort.
See you guys. Bye-bye.